You get to talk to everyone at the same time. Hey, you
Hey
know what
guys.
today is? You know what today is? Today is Taco Tuesday. Thanks for joining us on today's webinar with Jay Boatwright. See some people in the room. If you can hear us, see us, let's get the technical stuff out of the way. Give us a shout out. Let us know everything looks good for you guys. Hey, hey. We
All
have an
right.
exciting webinar going on today. And there's about a little less than 20-second delay between the time we ask something and then we see it pop up in chat. So if we say it a couple times, it's just because we didn't wait for the delay. So we expect today's webinar to be about an hour. So if you can stick around for the whole thing, if you were signed up in time, you might have got an email to request some images that Jay is going to give us some constructive criticism on at the end of today's webinar. We'll do that at the end. And just to introduce Jay, for anyone here today that's joining us that doesn't know about Photo Day and doesn't know, who Jay is, I just want to go through a quick introduction. So I'm Lisa, and I'm part of Team Photo Day over here. And I met Jay actually because of Photo Day. I always was around the Facebook groups and I saw him posting some of his work, and I always thought, wow, Smacks Photography has amazing work. And when, in the beginning of Photo Day, before it was actually called Photo Day, we were developing this concept, this whole new sales and marketing model, and we knew how important that image quality would be when parents shop online, because now they're seeing what your images that you're producing and deciding how much money to spend on those images. So image is everything and it changes. So to get to a fully automated online workflow and get rid of paper forms and processing and mistakes and all these things you're probably going through right now doing any kind of youth sports photography or school photography, the old method on paper forms, and getting to the online model image is so important for customer experience and satisfaction. So that's what today is all about. Jay has been doing this a while. He is in a very competitive market in the Atlanta metropolitan area, and he had to separate himself. I'm not going to steal his thunder. I'll let him talk about himself a little bit here, but just wanted to give you guys an overview of why we're here today and what this webinar is all about. So take it away, Jay. Thank you for today.
Right. Hey guys, I'm not going to get too much into the history of SMAC, so we can kind of get to the images, and hopefully that's what everybody wants to talk about, is how to create better images to make your business better. But just briefly, I'm out of Canton, Georgia. It's just maybe 35 miles northwest of Atlanta. I am in a super competitive market, and when I started out, that was the only way we could compete. We didn't want to create images that seemed like they were just like everybody else's, that it was just basically a commodity. And how I feel like a lot of our competition was competing against each other on, whoever had the latest and greatest item from the lab, and who was giving away the biggest rebate. And that was the biggest thing, rebates. So we deal with rebates upwards of 30, 40, even 50% in Atlanta. So it's pretty tough when it comes to that. So if you're going to offer rebates that are 20, 25, 30% less than your competition, then your photos better be good. The experience better be good. The parent's going to have to demand your company in order to get the business, because most board members, they just want to, talk about dollars. So your photography really has to transcend in order to make it in the market. So that being said, that's how we started. We had to create better images than our competition because there was economically we had to do it in order to compete. So now we're fast forwarding to now. We have platforms like Photo Day, and Photo Day works great for us. And I'm happy to say one of the leagues that we give the biggest rebates back to, that was really difficult to get, and we got it maybe 8 years ago. It's kind of one of our big leagues where we really wanted to get it so we could tell the rest of the city that, hey, we got this park. Everybody knows this park because the all-star teams are always good. The park is beautiful. It's a big park. So we got that league 8 years ago. We still have the league, but the numbers have gone down. Our average sales and our participation has remained the same over the last 8 years. However, the numbers have gone down. It's gone from 1,200 athletes down to 700 or so. So the rebate that we had agreed to wasn't working because we weren't getting enough profit. So we went to photo day, and just this week, our photo day sales actually surpassed what we were doing with paper order forms. So I was really excited about that because I never thought, 3 years ago, I never thought an online platform could ever compete with paper order forms. So when it's done right, even the biggest leagues, when you're doing everything that Lisa and Marissa and the photo day team tells you to do as far as marketing before, during, and after the photo shoot, you can actually outperform regular order forms using online platform. So super confident in that. So what I want to do today is just kind of show you guys some of my images, and all the images that you're going to see are images that I actually took this season. I'm not cherry picking photos from my all-time best from the last 12 years. These are just images that I've taken in the last couple of months. Kind of explain why I did them, why I positioned where I did. Most of them I'm using shallow depth of field. That's just what I like to do. I like to take photos with the full body shallow depth of field. That's just kind of my style and what I'm known for. I know not everybody can do that as far as, some people like to do half body, that sort of thing. It's just my style. And it seemed to have worked in this market. So also, once we get done with that, we're all going to do, I'm going to take a look at some of your images, and just want to, I guess kind of my scoring system would be whether it's sellable or not. And there's two different kinds of sellable. You have a sellable where you have an order form and somebody bought your image, and it's sellable if they don't return it. Then you have a photo day sellable images. So a photo day sellable image would be they're going to see the image and then buy. So in my opinion, a photo day image has to be significantly better than a traditional order form image. And if we're not working towards to where we can sell on photo day, then you might be in trouble in the future, because photographers who are taking great photos, they can go to online, and as these younger parents are going to start demanding that they have can see before they buy, they can purchase via apps, that sort of thing. So I really feel like it's important to get to the point where you can sell your images are good enough to where parents can view before they buy, and you can sell them on photo day. Okay, so let's get to it. Let's see here. Oh, quick question. Gross sale? No, that is net sales. Like we still have $3,000 worth of prepaid credits out there. As far as Ron asked, are those gross sales or net sales? So we've already surpassed, comparing apples to apples, and we still have $3,000 worth of photo day credits that haven't been used. So we should go a few $1,000s past where we did last season. Okay, let's look at start with our slideshow. Let's see here. Okay, guys. All right. I wanted to start with this first image. This is not meaning to start off on a sad note, but this is a league that I did, and actually Dave Stock, who was my mentor, actually came down, and he was with me in Atlanta. He actually was coming to check out our system and how we were doing things, and he was with me on this shoot. But this gentleman is just right down the street, maybe half mile from my house. One of his twins here died just a few weeks ago, and I always try to get the coaches to jump in there with the players. Sometimes it's a hassle, but from now on, I'm not going to consider it a hassle. And this is kind of what it's all about. This image was one of the last images that he had of him and both his twins. So just kind of an image to, this was actually at the funeral, up on the stage. And so I was very honored to have that image up there. It's something that Dad's going to be proud of for the rest of his life. And kind of what we're all doing is creating memories. But just want to kind of start off there, and you guys really realize what a difference we can make by taking great images. Okay. All right. So we'll start off with this soccer image here. Give me 1 second. All right. So what we have here, we actually have an airport in the background. All right, and it's just flat. This is actually in Nashville, a little bit further away from the house that we usually travel, but there's actually an airport in the background, and you can kind of see the airport flags there to the right. So it was important to have really shallow depth of field, because if I want to get that blue sky and I'm not using a high-speed sync or shallow depth of field, then I'm going to see all those airplanes and everything in the background there, and it's just going to look terrible. So that's one of the biggest reasons why I think it's important to learn how to shoot with a shallow depth of field and team and individual photography, because you don't always get to choose the perfect background. And I also try to get a background where it's going to be minimal scrimming, where I don't have to create too much shade. So the athlete here is actually facing to the north, and you can see I do have a little shadow on the ground there, and that shadow is actually a sun scrim that's helping to create a little bit of shade so I can get a little bit more power out of my lights. Okay, this is a this is a photo day job that I did here, and this is from the league that I actually was discussing, because this league I was discussing that have actually surpassed sales. So the big question was, can I do different photos, different poses quickly? And what I found is the answer is yes. I'm using a Fuji X-T3 mirrorless camera, and I can't recommend that camera enough. It's fantastic. I have a equivalent of a 7200 lens on that camera. So basically what I would do is I'd take a full body shot, and then I would zoom in and take a half body shot, real close up for the parents. And then if they wanted to do a game face, I would have them smile on the third shot. So that gives me 3 options there. The last shot, I would pop out my screen, I would lay my camera on the ground, and I would take this photo that you see here. So this athlete looks larger than life. So that was 4 different images that I have. And not only that, after I've edited those images, then I would convert them into black and whites as well, which is just a simple photo Lightroom action, and super simple. So that gives me a lot of photos really quick. Oh, hold on 1 second. Okay. Okay, this is, I wanted to point out this post to you guys. I just did this one a couple of nights ago. This is a super popular pose, and I really like the pose. Whoever was posing for me this day did a perfect job with this particular athlete. A few things I want to point out is that you can see his head tilted a little bit. I always have the athlete's head tilted towards my main source. So I have an Octobox camera left there. I have a strip box camera right. A majority, probably 95% of my photos are just a 2-light setup that you see there. So what's important here is that left arm is bent a little bit. It's not straight. I don't particularly like when athletes' arms are super straight. That doesn't make them look big and tough. And secondly, the arm with his right arm with the bat, that elbow's out. It's not out where it's straight across his shoulder, and it's not tucked up on his side. It's just about 45 degrees or so, and it makes him look larger than life. Also, as you can see, his feet, hips, and shoulders are lined up, and then we just turn the head right there at the end, and you see we just have a little kiss or rim light there. Where the sun is, you can see the sun is hitting the top of his hat, so it's kind of like my hair light there. It's my third light, and you can see his shadow. The shadow is coming towards me, so you can see the sun is basically directly at his back. So especially on those evening shoots, it should be super simple for you. You can set that athlete up where the sun's going to be at their back. It could be your third light, and you have a main light, and you have a strip box, and you can create a really beautiful image. Let's see here. Let's go over to, okay. This pose that we have here that I really recommend for my 3 and 4 year olds is really simple. Just hands on top of the bat. A lot of times the athletes, they really can't hold a lot of equipment. They get confused and they don't know where to look, and we have all kind of issues. So this is one that I recommend that I use for the 3 and 4 year old for T-ball. And again, I like that the feet, hips, and the shoulders are all lined up. His head isn't quite tilted, but it actually works really nice. And this is just a really great go-to pose if you need to shoot a 3 or 4 year old. Okay. Indoors, I wanted to put an indoor volleyball is becoming super popular here in Atlanta. Just wanted you guys to take a look at what I'm doing here for volleyball. One second, let me make sure we have. Okay, give me 1 second here. All right. So what I basically see and what I've done in the past is I've put the athlete in front of the net, so we can see a little bit of the volleyball net. But I just don't particularly like that. I really didn't get a look that I felt like was my look. So I started turning to the side, and I've actually figured out a way I can shoot two lines where I can have the athlete stand right there. I can shoot on one side of the net, and I can also shoot on the other side of the net. So it's pretty cool. But on this particular photo, I shot with a 56 millimeter lens, was actually 85 millimeter at 1.2. That's another really big advantage of a Fuji camera is that it nails the autofocus even if you're shooting at 1.2. So a couple of keys to this is that with darker skin, darker hair athletes, you got to have that hair light so you get a separation from the background. My background there is just an ugly wall, so I want to make sure that I separate her from the background. I'm shooting it at 1.2, so you can see the net is in focus around her face, and it falls out of focus afterwards. She has a very good posture. Her hands on her hip. I don't like too much that hand there when the wrist isn't too bent looks athletic to me. Once that wrist starts really bending, I kind of looks like the girls are posing at the beach. So it kind of looks like you have athletic wrist and you have the beach wrist. So when I have my kids posing for me, I make sure that wrist is as straight as possible so they look very athletic. Okay. Okay, so we're getting this is another photo day pose. What I like about this particular pose is that if I'm doing traditional order forms, I can't do this pose because we want straight, we want portrait orientation, makes it really simple on the back end to edit and produce or to get through a lot of images. And when I turn it to landscape orientation, is kind of for me. I just want to, because I like to shoot like this, but it's parents don't always want wallets or 8x10s in a landscape orientation. So when we're using paper order forms, we always have to use portrait orientation. But photo day, it frees us up. So I'm able to shoot however I want to. So I shoot some up landscape. Start with portrait. Then I can shoot full body, then a half body, and then I can have them take a knee real quick and shoot a landscape photo. And this is something different that the parents are never going to get if you're shooting just paper order forms. It's just going to be too hard to edit, and people they like the idea of it, but when they get their prints back, and this might not work in a wallet size. So that's what's super cool about photo days is you kind of have a little bit more creativity and flexibility when it comes to shooting portrait or landscape. Okay, this image here is I'm trying to get this league. It's in downtown Atlanta, and this is something that I had to do starting off a lot, where I had to offer basically free photo shoots. I'll come out and shoot your athlete and put them online, see if you like him. If you like him, you can buy. If not, no problem. I just wanted some sample images, basically. We did a whole lot of that starting off, and we were successful getting a lot of parks this way. So this is one of the parks in Atlanta that I really wanted. I have a buddy who coaches a team. So we went down, and he told me that all the fields were taken, so we had to go to some park in downtown Atlanta, and it was pretty terrible park. It was as you can see the ground, it was dirt patches and some grass here and there. And again, this is where the shallow depth of field can really shine. We had some specular highlights from the sun coming through the trees, and we ended up with a beautiful image. And again, this is that look that you see there is with my camera on the ground. So I basically popped out my screen, put my camera on the ground, and was able to nail focus with no problem. Shot it at 2.8. So athletes in focus, and then my background, which looks a whole lot better than it actually was, falls out of focus and ended up being a really, really nice image. Let's see here. Do we have any questions on these first set of images here that you guys have the look or where I have my lights or anything like that?
I think you have one in here. Pete's asking what's your typical light configuration, Jay?
Um, Typically, I have a 48-inch octobox is my main light. I use a right now I'm using Flashpoints. I'm using Flashpoints, just a Godox light, but it's Adorama's. I used Flashpoint through Adorama because you get a 2-year warranty through Adorama, and you don't have to send your lights back to China if they break. So that's my main light. My second light is just a strip box, and I use either the Glow brand strip box, and also have some Westcott Rapid box, and that's probably 95% of my photos are those two lights. I have an octobox and a strip box. The strip box can either be the AD 600 or the AD 200, the smaller lights. Any of those configurations will work. Yeah, see, Dan, I'm using basically all Flashpoint right now. I've used Alien Bees, I've used Einsteins, I've used Elechrome, and now I'm on to Flashpoint. So I'm not afraid of switching gear to make me more efficient. So that's kind of what I do. Shutter speed and sync with the Fuji, Sean. If you're using Flashpoint, you can go up to. I have a lot of luck going up to 3200ths of a second. So that doesn't have to do with the camera. It more has to do with the Flashpoint lighting system. If you're using their transmitter, the R2 Pro, I believe is what I'm using, the second version, that'll allow you to go up to 1/8000th of a second. I don't ever go that high. As high as yesterday I did some 3200, but typically I'm at 2.8, 160 ISO, 1250 for my shutter speed. That's kind of my go-to bright sunlight. Let's see, Steve, how I train my other photographers. I don't have many other photographers. Is the short question. I have a short answer. I have one photographer, Scott, who's been with me for 9 years, and then I also have a couple of other team photographers. I've had a few photographers that it's been difficult to find somebody who really does a good job. However, I do have one other extra photographer right now, and she's been working for me for about a year, and she has no photography experience. She actually has posed for me for a year. So she posed the kids and all the different poses that you see here, and she was really good at posing. She had a real talent for it, so I put her behind the camera and helped her with their settings, and she's been one of the best photographers I've ever had. So no camera experience, more I'm looking for somebody who can pose kids and talk to kids and give them direction. So those are the people I found that have been successful shooting my style and my system. Are we shooting weather? Yeah, I mean, it is definitely a hassle if you're going to be shooting outside primarily. But we just adapt. We carry big clear trash bags in case it rains, and we cover the lights up. And we're just always trying to be prepared for the situation. If there's a lot of wind, then Flashpoint carries they have an extension head that I can put on my light stand, and the extension head only weighs about a pound. And you put the extension head with a smaller softbox instead of the 78-inch softbox or the 48-inch softbox, and with a 30-pound sandbag, and your light's going to stay still. So you just have to be prepared for that sort of thing. If it's super windy and you just have to use a reflector, you have to just use a reflector and just adapt. The light's going to be a little bit harder. The shadows will be a little bit harder, but it's still going to be better than being inside for us. See here. Also, second part of the hassle of it, weather and hassle, it is a hassle, but that's the hassle that I'm willing to go through for my photos to look different than my competition. Okay, Danielle, where do I place my lights? Well, just as a rule of thumb, if you have 48-inch softbox, you want to be within 4 feet of your subject. So it's about experimentation, really getting out there every day and finding out where you like your light placement in order to get the look that you want. I have a system that I use that gets my lights pretty consistent each time. But that depends on the lights you're using, the camera you're using, your background. It depends on a lot of things. So it's really about going out there when you have no pressure and practicing. just have to practice and get the look that you want, and just keep doing it and doing it until you find out exactly where you want to place your lights for each given condition. Stephen, my team images. I don't show a lot of. I have team images. Do a lot of banners. This is banner season right now, so I do a lot of those. I don't have any loaded up, but my philosophy or my thoughts on team images, I want the team image, of course, to be good, and we have solid team images. However, I concentrate on the individual images because as a parent, my thoughts have always been that parents want their child to look good. They like the team, but their highest priority is how good their kid looks. So we've always had a concentration on making the individual images as good as possible. The team images, of course, have to be good, but it's a lot more difficult to get a dramatic team image. You just don't have the time when you're shooting, 300 teams, 80 teams in a day, 300 athletes, what have you. It's a little bit more difficult, but I do feel like our team images are very good, but we really have a concentration on the individual images. Let's see here. How many photo stations do we set up for large baseball league? For the big league that I was just referring to, which I think we had 500 plus athletes that day. I shoot 2 lines, and I have another photographer who shoots 1 line. So we have 3 lines total. So I try to shoot, I can get an athlete through there. Shooting with photo day takes a little bit longer because I want to get multiple poses, but it takes, I want to say about when I'm moving fast and my assistants are good, 30 seconds an athlete. So I'm shooting 2 athletes a minute, and then my other photographer is shooting, athlete and a half a minute, let's say. So we can get, so that's 4 athletes a minute approximately. So if you multiply that out, you can get a team done in 3 or 4 minutes. So that's how we handle that. So I use assistants instead of hiring more photographers. So I don't have 1 photographer per line. I have 1 photographer shooting multiple lines, and then so that way we can leverage the skills of a photographer. That's basically what Dave Stock's whole theory was, that like I said before, is my mentor. He wants to leverage his skills as a photographer. So instead of hiring more photographers, he shoots more lines and trains his assistants in order to pose up each athlete. Nancy, how much time do we schedule between teams? Typically on a big shoot, it all depends on, Karina, my wife, does all the scheduling, and it depends on the shoot and how many photographers and how many assistants I have. On this really busy shoots, we can do 5 minutes a team. We shot a basketball league that had 500 teams this winter. So we busted it. So we had 250 teams each day. So that particular situation, we had 5 minutes per team. So we get down as low as that. Let's see, any more questions here? How we light our big teams. We just use Einsteins and beauty dishes. That's typically how we tie the players. So basically, if I have time, that's what I'll do. Let's see. Some more questions here. Crystal, easy one. Which model? I'm using the Fuji X-T3. That's the camera I'm using, and I just got the Panasonic S1R, which I really like. I don't have like a full review of that, but I can tell you that the Fuji X-T3 is a fantastic camera. What do I average for baseball? The photo day right now, our average order is about $50, $50 to $53. With paper order forms, we're about $32. So that was quite a big jump. When we do right now in Atlanta, at SMAX, we call it our banner season. So basically what we do is we create banners that you guys have probably seen. We've been doing it for a long time. We create banners for the all-star and travel teams to place in their dugouts. And what we'll do is we'll go there, take the photos, we'll sell them the banner, and then we'll also sell them mini banners, which are sized down, just mini versions of the big banner. And we also sell portraits, photo packages to the parents. So we got 3 items we're selling: the big banner, the mini banner, and actual portrait. So we average about $1,200 a team when we do that. So those are we really love banner season because we do really well in banner season. Let's see here. Let's see. How do you sit on the ground and shoot 2 lines and then do a group shot? Okay, Nancy. Yeah, I do sit on the ground. I get up, and move, and walk, 8 feet, and then take another photo. And then get up and walk 8 feet and take another photo. So it's pretty physically taxing, but again, that's just, to me, it's a competitive advantage. If I'm in good physical health and I can get up and move all day long, I know my competition's not doing that. So that's something that I do in long photo shoots, long weekends. It can be pretty tough physically. Let's see here. As far as the group shot goes, I don't do the group. I usually have somebody doing the group shot. So I'm taking individual lines, and then I actually have another group photographer who's doing that. Let's see here. Is that all the questions? Did I get everything, Lisa? Let's see here. I'm not sure what you mean, Zeke, about as far as how I'm capturing the data. Do you mean my sales data? Steve Alfano, I am not 100% photo day. We wanted to make sure that that photo day was going to be viable for us, and we really took it slow. So basically we were planning on doing 10-20% of our shoots will be photo day the first year, and then we're going to gradually increase, and eventually we're going to be 100% photo day. And we're pretty much on schedule for that. For right now, we're putting everything we can with photo day, and typically what we like to have is a league that's going to have good communication with their parents. So when we send out emails, that we know those are going to get to the parents, and also leagues that we know that they will be likely to have internet access, smartphones, that sort of thing. So there's, you do have to be picky a little bit on which leagues you decide to move over to photo day. But so far, I think we're shooting probably more than I thought we were going to with photo day in the first year. See, Jason, between lines, are you changing the lights you are using or setting up one of the lights for both lines? No, I use 3 lights when I shoot 2 lines. And I have a buddy light as well, so I can turn a light on or off. So if I feel like I need a little bit more fill, if it's a girl or somebody with dark skin, I need a little bit more fill, then I can turn my 3rd light on. And that's another big reason why I use Flashpoint, is because they do a great job with their transmitters. So I can change all my lighting settings from my camera. That's a huge deal. If you want to shoot outside, you want to make sure that you have great portraits throughout the day, when you're going to have different sun conditions. You're going to have clouds. You're going to have open blue skies. You're going to start off at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's going to be dark. It's going to get super bright quick. Or if you're in the evening where you're shooting at 7, and then you get a sunset and the lights changing every 2 or 3 minutes, you have to be able to control your lights from the camera, and you have to be able to do it quick. And that's, again, just part of the skill as a photographer that you need to develop to separate yourself from the competition. Pushback for paying postage. I think that's a great question. What we've done with Photo Day is we have a lot of success with advance pay. So if you do $35 advance pay, then you get free shipping. So for us, that's the solution. So we know that we're going to do well, and customers are going to order. They're not going to procrastinate as much if they've done an advance pay, and we've given them a chance to do free shipping. So if there's any complaints, we can always go back and say, hey, if you had done the advance pay, then you had free shipping, and you wouldn't have had to worry about it. So that's how we're getting past any objections as far as the free shipping goes. And to be honest with you, we haven't had any issues with people complaining about free shipping once we started using that advance pay. Okay, so we have a lot of questions about the. Well, let's go to a couple more images, and we'll get back to the question here. Okay, again, this is a camera on the ground. As you guys can see, this is I got lucky here because we had nice clouds, and in a few more minutes those lights actually came on, so that was super cool. So um, this particular athlete, his dad runs the Parks and Recreation department for one of the counties that's close to me, so wanted to make sure I came out with a stunning image for him. And again, this was the Fuji just laying on the ground and getting as a photo day image. We're doing really well with that league. Um, okay. Uh, Again, this is something that I used to do just for myself to have fun. This is actually taken with the Lumix, the S1R. What's really cool about this, you can pull out a lot of detail. It was cropped in pretty tight. I did put some extra effects on this image. I think it's important to do that to really experiment at the end of the night. My last athlete, I'll change angles, I'll do different things, and try to post an amazing image on social media so parents will start, getting the word out. Hey, did you see that photo? Smacks Photography did it for us, that sort of thing, and you get the word of mouth. That's going to get you more and more leads. Let's see here. Talk about the overhead price from processing paper order forms versus photos days, 10%. Yeah, I mean, for us, we use Group Photographers Association, and they do, if we're doing paper order forms, they do all the data entry for us. So we pay a little extra for that. So it's not that big of a jump for us. It may cost us a little bit more going through photo day, but we try to keep our staff pretty lean and mean. So GPA's either doing the data entry or the customer's doing the data entry, and we're giving that percentage to photo day. So, but for us, we're just shooting so much volume, and it's just worth it for us to not have the hassle of having to do that extra ordering. So for us, we of course it would like for it to be less, but for right now it's worth the 10% for us. Post processing techniques. I won't be able to get into that today, but I guess now's a good time to talk about Sync Sports. I'll be in Sync Sports in Pittsburgh in June. I have a Boatwright boot camp in San Diego at the end of June, where we'll be able to have time to get in all the post processing. But I do have to say that in Lightroom, I process 90% of my images in Lightroom, probably 95%, and they have the camera filters embedded in Lightroom that I use for the Fuji X-T3. So there's very little editing that I have to do with a majority of my images using the X-T3. As long as it's lit properly, just a little bit of vibrance and maybe a little bit of clarity, and you're good to go. The whole goal is not to do a lot of post-processing. This image that you see here, I would not do this in a large-scale volume. This is just kind of a show-off image because you can see how smooth that skin. It looks nice. It's very dramatic. This image would have taken a little bit longer, and I wouldn't have done that on a league-wide basis. But this was one team. I was just using it for a photo day, and the sales were fantastic for this one particular team. Okay, I just did this image just the other day as well. Got lucky with some nice dramatic skies. Again, this is an image that I would have done only at the end of the shoot on paper order forms. But since I did have photo day and I could shoot what I basically did with this one is I shot with my Fuji. I shot full body. I zoomed in tight, and then I walked even closer, picked up my Lumix camera, and got in real tight and shot a photo with that. So I actually used two cameras. And I also had a third light off to the side, and I was able to cut one set of lights on and turn the other set of lights off. And so that way I had a different look with my lighting. So a little bit more complicated, but it, again, gives my customers it gives my customers a lot of options when they go back in photo day to look. I mean, it's such a different look from a long lens to a short lens. And I can do it using all the technology that I have available to me between the cameras and the lighting and the transmitters. You can really do a lot of poses really quick. Let's see here. Okay, what enticement do you offer, Pete, on a non-game days? I guess that's a good question. We don't have the only issue we really have with non-game days is soccer for us. We don't really do a lot of soccer because locally the leagues the participation isn't great. So soccer's really the only problem we have is if it's not on game day that teams won't come. Baseball, football, basketball, volleyball, all those sports, we haven't had any problems with participation as far as that's concerned. People usually come. Steve, deal with cash or check. For photo day, everything is credit card online. So right now we don't accept any cash, check, or cards online. We do that, but when we're doing traditional order forms, we collect all forms: cash, check, or credit card. Let's see. Face recognition work with helmet on? That's a good question. I'm not sure how well it works. Lisa and Marissa could probably tell you a little bit more about that. It should. But this particular league, I think I maybe had 40 players, so it wasn't too difficult for the parents to go in there and find. You can also use tags if you needed to. Tags, I actually make sure, the big baseball league that I was so happy about at the beginning of the call, I did go through and tag all the photos according to team. So if they're in the Orioles, the Diamondbacks, the Braves, Dodgers, etc., I tagged those images because there was 2,600 images in that particular gallery, and the parents were going to go through each image. So the tags worked out really good. Okay. All right. Last photo of mine. This one is probably the most difficult to pull off. I actually shot this with an 85 millimeter 1.2 lens and shot at landscape. Whenever you see one of those sunsets, take advantage of it. Take you a little extra time and get a photo that can go into your portfolio. So this was actually one of the board members' kids, and I took some extra time at the end of the shoot to get this image, and I feel like this is one of my better ones. One of my favorite ones that I've taken this year. But that is again just a 2-light setup. Had octobox camera right, had a strip box camera left, and shot at 85 millimeters at 1.2, and make sure that I exposed for my background and just dialed my lights in as necessary. Okay, here. All right. Do you shoot much football at Pop Warner or Mike? Yeah, Brian, I shoot a ton of football. We actually start football in July here, and most of our fields are turf now, so football is the hottest sport we got. But yes, we do a ton of football. Actually, just I think in the last couple of years, our fall has kept up with our spring as far as revenue goes. So we do a lot of football. Most of the images you see here today are just spring sports because I wanted to, show you guys some images that I've taken over the last couple of months. Do I use sun for a backlight? Yes, Victor, I do use the sun for the backlight. I especially like when the sun's on the opposite side, so I can have 2 rim lights. That's pretty cool. As long as the colors there's not too much yellow from the sun. It doesn't look funny. Yeah, I do that sometimes. But generally, I rely on my strip light in my in order to light that. Okay, so the next few slides are going to be some of your images. I just have a few more minutes here. And I want to go over some of your images. So maybe some recommendations. Again, what I want you to think about is really is sellable images. Can you sell it on photo day, and can you sell it, paper order forms? Those are 2 separate things. I think it's easier to sell an image with paper order forms where parents are prepaying and they're not going to return it. That's basically sellable images. Photo day, they have to actually look at the image and love it and then buy it. So 2 separate things. So hopefully we can talk about your images and see what we might do different. Don't think we have any watermarks on there, so we don't know who photos these are. Okay, this is a fantastic image in my opinion. I love this image. This shot with the fairly, I'm guessing on all these, I don't have the metadata on these images, but I'm guessing that this is shot with fairly shallow depth of field. It's lit perfectly. I mean, it's a little bit crooked at the bottom, but I do that all the time. I have a hard time adjusting photos sometimes with the horizon line. It's a little bit crooked, but it's great. The kids' expressions are fantastic. It's just adorable. So whoever did this did a great job. But as you can see here, we still have number 15 here has a funny face. You're not going to get these images perfect, but this right here is a fantastic image that I think it would do great in any platform. Let's see here. Okay, again, this is a great image shot with the shallow depth of field. The lighting's good. You see, you have your rim light and you have your main light. It's a little flat on the face, but I think it looks fantastic. The only thing that might throw you off is, for me, when I saw the image, I liked it. But I couldn't quite fit. What it is it's he looks like he's in a soccer uniform, but he has a baseball bat. So if this particular athlete was in a baseball uniform, I think it would everybody would agree that it's a fantastic image. The bat position, I wouldn't do that. I think that the subject pulls it off. It still looks great, but I generally would have the bat just right on the shoulder, going up and down rather than across, unless he was going to do the pose where his left hand was up on the bat as well. So the the photography part is great. I just think that the uniform part throws me off just a little bit. Okay. Yeah, Keith, I'll get to that here at the end if I can. Let's see here. Okay, the Braves. All right. So this is a tough one because this is the background isn't good. Yeah, the dirt patches and woods and that sort of thing, and it's shot with it's probably shot at f8, f9. So you're going to see all the details in the back. So this is where I really think that a shallow depth of field would help. As far as the angle, I don't like to shoot down at the athlete. The only case where I shoot down on the athlete is maybe swimming, to where I want to make sure I get the swimming pool in the background. But for football, I like to shoot at least at minimum eye level, but typically I'm sitting on the ground. So I like that angle better, but it's tough in this situation because you have those trees in the background. If everything's going to be in focus, you want to take out some of the, if the trees are dead, limbs are dead, you want to take some of that out. However, if you're shooting at 2.8 or f4 or lower, then you're going to blur out that background. So a lot of those dirt spots, you just aren't even going to see that. So I really would encourage you to learn how to shoot with a shallow depth of field, f4, the f2.8 to f4. Try to get to where you can do that, whether you're using your lights or filters, whatever you need to do in order to get that look. As far as the posing goes, for me, I would, for that particular pose, which is very popular with cheerleaders, I would have her left knee popped, not the right knee. It just looks a little better to me. And you can also see for this particular athlete, the moms like when they can really see that little accent on the skirt, that little V. I don't know what you call that, but they like to see that little accent there. So I would have turned the athlete more towards her megaphone, set the megaphone more behind her so it's not so prominent in the photo, and pop the left knee instead of the right. Okay, so this looks like the same organization. For this particular, I don't do this pose. I don't, again, you see the background is perfectly in focus, so you want to throw that background out of focus if you could. If I'm going to do a knee pose, I'm turning to the side, and I want to see, I want to turn him to the side, so it would be, yeah, he would turn to his right, and I'd have that toe on the ground to the side, and I'd also tuck the sleeves if I could. The sleeves aren't tight, so I make sure I tuck those sleeves. But again, the biggest thing is photography-wise, to make sure that you're shooting a shallow depth of field when you have a bad background. Let's see here. 1 second. Keith, quick rundown of camera back. Okay, I'm using Fuji X-T3 and a Panasonic S1R. Fuji X-T3, I think the lens is a 55 to 140, which is the equivalent of a 70 to 200. Let's see here. Give me 1 second, guys. I kind of paused there. Hey, Lisa, are you there? Okay, here we go. All right, now I'm good. Okay, I'm good. I just paused there for a second. Okay, this is a green screen. I don't do any green screen. I do zero. I don't do any of it. But so it's kind of hard for me to look at it. But just looking at it, it looks great. The posing all looks super solid. Just like to see the final image.
Can you hear me okay, Alex? Yeah, Jay left the room. Jay left the room real quick. I think he had a bad connection. So it looked like he tried to jump back in. So I'm just waiting for him to.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there he goes. All right. I was entertaining
Okay.
everyone while you.
Okay. All right. Is there any repeat there? That sound okay?
You're all good for me. So I think you're good. You can start over for this one.
Okay. All right. So from the left again, that looks fantastic. I really wouldn't change anything with that posing. Um, the middle pose, the same thing. I think it looks fantastic. And over here on the right, the only thing that looks maybe a little weird is her shorts there, but for the most part, that looks fantastic as well. But I would like to see the final images and see what the backgrounds look like. Okay. The softball player she's super cute. Has a lot of potential here, but again, shooting down on the athlete, and I really don't shoot that way. I don't think this image would have any problem. I think a parent would love it. But I see you got the sun, the light, sun at the back, so it's just highlighting the hair and the shoulders, so that looks fantastic. But I would definitely pop in a little bit more light with my main light. I'm not sure if this is lit or not with the flash. I can't really tell. It doesn't look like there's any shadows on the face. So this one, I would lower if it was me, I would lower my camera angle and a little bit more pop on my flash. Okay, so this athlete might be the same girl. Super cute. Okay, again, I would just pop a little more flash in there. We see the sun's creating the highlight. Camera right, looks good. But I'll go lower angle and also shooting a little bit more shallow depth of field. The expression's fantastic. The pose is good. Just a little more flash, and maybe a different angle. Okay, let's see here. This super popular pose, the bat on the back. So looks fantastic. The shallow depth of field, you can see that you can barely read the scoreboard. That looks great. The head is positioned right between that tree and the scoreboard, so the framing looks good. Only thing I would do with this, again, I think that there could be a little more flash on the subject. I would take her hands, spread her hands out a little bit further because her arms are a little bit crunched up there. And one thing that I do on all my poses like this, I put the thumb around the bat. So you see her left hand, the thumb is tacked there, it's missing. I would definitely wrap that thumb around the bat. Other than that, great expression. You could have the athlete's chin come down a little bit so it opens up the eyes a little. And I'm not sure about the bow. You have to see how long her hair is. Might be too short to bring that bow around or show that off, but sometimes moms get picky about that bow. Okay, let's see here. Couple more quick questions here. Hey, we haven't been able to get to everybody's images. Pete, the volleyball. Yes, the softbox I put in super tight, big softbox, as big as you can get. And that way the shadows are very soft. The transition from light to dark are very subtle. And so you just have to do a little bit of work in Lightroom and you get that smooth, creamy look. Um, let's see. Let's see. Bill, low camera angle. Yeah, Bill, I have no formal training, so that's just what I like. I think portrait work might be a little bit different than athletes because athletes they want to look larger than life, in my opinion. If you look at if you just watch the NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, if they're showing dramatic images, they're from a low camera angle, and that's just what I like. That's my look. See, do you want actions and you find out images in Lightroom? Yeah, or presets, Nancy. You can run presets, and I'll do a lot of the work as long as you shoot consistently. Let's see, Bill. The same lines. How do you see 750 to 1,000? Well, again, I shoot multiple lines and I have a lot of assistants. So I make sure that every time I get up and move 8 feet, my subject's ready to take the photo. So I just do that all day long. So it is physically demanding, but it can be done.
Get your exercise in.
Steve, yeah, I do. Yeah, when we do another webinar, I'll have a chance to show you how I actually move around. Yeah, I'm tired on Mondays. Let's see. Don't accept a photo job, cash or check. Steve, for now, no. Everything's credit card. It can be. Lisa and Marissa are working on that. So, correct, right, Lisa? You'll have a solution for that soon.
Yeah, we are definitely looking at photo day. If somebody's waving cash at you and you don't want to tell them no, don't give me cash, go pay online. At photo day, we're always listening to feedback and seeing what we need to do and change and add to the system to make it better for our users.
Okay. Mike Bentley, I shoot everything raw. Yes. So the reason why I went with Fuji and Lumix is because when Nikon came out with their mirrorless camera, they only had one card slot, and I just can't do that. I have to have one card slot has to be raw. The other card slot is JPEG. My JPEG card slot is going to be 128 gigabyte card or more, and I keep that on small JPEG, and I leave it in the camera for as long as I can. So in case that I make a mistake on uploading, I can always go back to my card slot that has the JPEGs on there and find those images that I lost. I do it every season, multiple times. So that's a really big key for me. So that's why I started to experiment with the Fuji and Panasonic instead of going with Nikon. Okay. We got any more questions? I'm so sorry, guys. I have a hard stop. I have to drive just close to Tennessee to shoot a photo day job. And so I have to get going, but hopefully we can schedule something else and we'll talk about more images and get more time to look at you guys' images.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in today. If you have more questions for Jay and you're a Photo Day user, he's in our Photo Day users group, so you can always post there and get some information over in our Photo Day users group. And I hope you guys got a lot out of today's webinar.
Hi, guys. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. And if you need to chat more about Photo Day, or if you have questions for us, you can reach us in the blue chat bubble or on the website at photoday.io. Just go to support and we're there. So thanks, guys, for checking us out today. And this replay, there will be a replay going out. If you missed the beginning and you came in late, there will be a replay link going out tomorrow. So it usually takes 24 hours for everything to go through. So Pete, Sync Sports is a conference. It starts on June 11th. It's 11th through the 14th. It's in Pittsburgh, and I think the website for that is synkrocks.com. You can check that out. But Jay will be giving a class there. Thanks, Bob, for posting the link. That was awesome. So, all right, like I said, guys, you can reach us over in support chat in the Facebook users group if you have more questions. And thanks for another great webinar. So thanks you guys for attending, and I hope you got a lot out of it. So bye. Happy Tuesday.